In our last account, we saw the culmination of God's law-giving at Sinai and the construction of the tabernacle, the very dwelling place of the Lord among his people. Now, in the second year of their freedom, camped in the vast wilderness, a new chapter begins. It is time for Israel to be numbered, to be organized, and to finally begin their journey toward the land promised to their forefathers. The Lord spoke to Moses in the tabernacle, commanding him to take a census of the entire congregation of Israel. Every male, 20 years old and upward, everyone able to go to war, was to be counted, tribe by tribe. A leader from each of the 12 tribes was appointed to stand with Moses and Aaron to oversee this great numbering. From Reuben, 46,500. From Simeon, 59,300. From Judah, 74,600. The count continued, tribe by tribe, a meticulous accounting of the fighting men of Israel. When the tally was complete, the total number of men ready for war was 603,550. But one tribe was not counted among them, the tribe of Levi. For the Lord had set them apart for a different purpose. They were not to be soldiers, but servants of the tabernacle. They were charged with the sacred duty of carrying, setting up, and guarding the holy tent and all its furnishings. The Levites were to encamp directly around the tabernacle, a buffer between the holy presence of God and the rest of the people, so that no wrath would fall upon the congregation. The Lord then gave Moses and Aaron the precise layout for the massive camp. The children of Israel were to pitch their tents each by their own standard, with the emblems of their father's house in a great square surrounding the tabernacle at a distance. On the east side, toward the rising sun, would be the formidable camp of Judah, flanked by Issachar and Zebulun. On the south, the camp of Reuben, with Simeon and Gad at his side. To the west, the camp of Ephraim, son of Joseph, along with his brother Manasseh's tribe and the tribe of Benjamin. And on the north side, the camp of Dan, with Asher and Naphtali. A nation, once a mob of slaves, now arranged in perfect, holy order around the presence of their God. The Levites too were numbered, every male from a month old and upward. They were God's chosen substitutes for the firstborn of Israel, whom God had claimed as his own when he struck down the firstborn of Egypt. The three clans of Levi, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari, were given specific duties. The sons of Kohath, encamped to the south, were given the most sacred charge, to carry the Ark of the Covenant, the table, the lampstand, and the altars. But they were forbidden from touching these holy things, or even looking upon them, until Aaron and his sons, the priests, had covered them, lest they die. The Gershonites, to the west, would carry the tabernacle's curtains and coverings. The sons of Merari, to the north, were responsible for the heavy framework, the boards, bars, pillars, and sockets. To the east, at the very entrance of the tabernacle, were the tents of Moses, Aaron and his sons, the priests who kept charge of the sanctuary on behalf of all Israel. Laws were given to preserve the purity of this holy camp. Anyone with a defiling disease or who had touched a dead body was to be sent outside the camp, for the Lord himself dwelt among them. Laws of restitution were established, ensuring that when a person sinned against another, they would not only confess, but make full repayment, adding a fifth of its value. A solemn law was given for a husband consumed by a spirit of jealousy, uncertain of his wife's faithfulness. She was to be brought before the Lord, where the priest would perform a ceremony with holy water and dust from the tabernacle floor. If she was innocent, she would be cleared and blessed. If guilty, a curse would fall upon her. And there was the vow of the Nazirite, for any man or woman who wished to separate themselves to the Lord for a season. They were to abstain from wine and any product of the grapevine, let their hair grow long, and avoid all contact with the dead. It was a sign of total consecration. At the end of their vow, they would shave their head at the door of the tabernacle and offer sacrifices, their period of special devotion complete. And from this order, God commanded Aaron and his sons to bless the people with words that would echo through generations. The Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. With the tabernacle fully erected and consecrated, the princes of the 12 tribes came forward. Over 12 days, one prince each day, they brought extravagant offerings to dedicate the altar. Each brought a silver charger and a silver bowl filled with fine flour and oil, a golden spoon full of incense, a bull, a ram and a lamb for a burnt offering, a goat for a sin offering, and animals for a peace offering. The generosity was overwhelming. A unified act of worship from the leaders of the people. And when the dedication was complete, Moses went into the tabernacle, and he heard the very voice of God speaking to him from between the cherubim on the mercy seat. The Levites were formally cleansed and consecrated for their service, presented before the Lord as a wave offering from the children of Israel, a gift dedicated to the work of the sanctuary. The Passover was kept, a memorial of their deliverance from Egypt. And for those who were unclean and could not celebrate, the Lord mercifully made a provision for them to observe it 1 month later. Day and night, the Lord's presence guided them. A cloud covered the tabernacle by day, and the appearance of fire by night. When the cloud lifted, the people broke camp and journeyed. When the cloud settled, they pitched their tents. Whether for 2 days, a month, or a year, they moved and rested only at the command of the Lord. Then Moses was instructed to make 2 silver trumpets. Different trumpet calls would signal the assembly of the leaders or the entire congregation, and a series of alarms would direct the camps to march out in their prescribed order. Finally, on the 20th day of the 2nd month of the 2nd year, the moment came. The cloud lifted from the tabernacle of the testimony. The journey to the promised land was about to begin. The silver trumpets sounded the alarm. The standard of the camp of Judah moved out first, and the great nation of Israel began its march, army by army, just as the Lord had commanded. But the journey had barely begun when the people's character was tested. They began to complain, and the Lord's anger was kindled. A fire broke out on the edges of the camp and was only quenched when Moses prayed for them. Then the mixed multitude among them, and soon the Israelites themselves, began to weep and crave the foods of Egypt. "Who will give us flesh to eat?" they cried. "We remember the fish we ate in Egypt for free, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. But now our strength is gone, and there is nothing at all but this manna to look at." The burden became too much for Moses. He cried out to the Lord, "Why have you laid the burden of all this people on me? Did I conceive them? Am I their father? Where am I to get meat for all of them? I cannot carry this people alone. It is too heavy for me. If this is how you are going to treat me, please kill me now." The Lord, in his mercy, instructed Moses to gather 70 elders of Israel. He took some of the spirit that was on Moses and placed it upon them, and they began to prophesy, sharing the burden of leadership. And God promised meat, not for 1 day, or 5 or 20, but for a whole month, until it became loathsome to them, because they had despised the Lord who was among them. A mighty wind then blew in quail from the sea, piling them up around the camp. The people gathered greedily, but while the meat was still in their mouths, a great plague struck them down for their lustful craving. The troubles did not end there. The challenge now came from within Moses' own family. His own sister Miriam and his brother Aaron spoke against him because he had married an Ethiopian woman. "Has the Lord indeed spoken only through Moses?" they asked. "Hasn't he also spoken through us?" The Lord heard it, and he summoned all 3 of them to the tabernacle. In the pillar of cloud, God himself appeared and issued a fearsome rebuke. He declared that while he might speak to other prophets in visions and dreams, with his servant Moses he spoke face to face, as a man speaks to a friend. "Why then," the Lord thundered, "were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?" And as the cloud departed, Miriam was struck with leprosy, her skin as white as snow. Aaron, horrified, begged Moses for forgiveness. Moses cried out to God, "Heal her now, O God, I beseech thee." For 7 days, Miriam was shut out from the camp, humbled and unclean. The entire nation of Israel waited, unable to journey on, until she was restored. Once she returned, the people moved on, pitching their tents next in the wilderness of Paran, their journey marked already by rebellion, judgment, and mercy.